I sent one photo to our family group chat. My 8-year-old daughter lay in a hospital bed, pale after surviving open-heart surgery. I wrote only one sentence. She keeps asking when grandma is coming. My brother replied first. Busy. Handle it. Then my mother sent 6 words I'll never forget. She lived. Stop making her our problem. I stared at my phone for a long time before typing just 2 words. It's okay. By 10 o'clock that night, every member of my family was watching the evening news, and what they saw made every one of them realize those 2 words had ended our relationship forever. People think heartbreak always arrives with bad news from a doctor. Sometimes it arrives as a text message. Mine came less than 12 hours after my 8-year-old daughter survived open-heart surgery. I sent one photograph to my family's group chat. She looked exhausted. Pale. Tiny tubes surrounded her, and a heart-shaped stuffed bear rested against her blanket. But she was smiling. It wasn't a big smile, just enough to tell me she had made it through the hardest day of her young life. Above the picture, I typed one sentence. She keeps asking when grandma is coming. Then I waited. For 8 years, my daughter, Emma, had loved my mother with the kind of unconditional devotion only children seem capable of. Every birthday card grandma ever mailed sat inside a decorated shoebox under Emma's bed. Every Christmas ornament grandma had given her hung on the front of our tree before any others. Whenever Emma had another cardiology appointment, she'd always ask the same question. Do you think grandma will come this time? I always answered the same way. Maybe, sweetheart. I hated lying. Emma had been born with a congenital heart defect. Before she learned how to ride a bicycle, she had learned the names of medications. Before she memorized multiplication tables, she knew what an echocardiogram was. Yet somehow she never complained. She smiled through blood tests. She laughed with nurses. She thanked every doctor who walked into her room. Sometimes I wondered if she was stronger than every adult I knew, especially my own family. At first, they acted concerned. Mom visited after Emma was born. She brought flowers, promised we'd face everything together. My older brother, Ryan, even told me, "You're not alone." But promises have expiration dates. The hospital visits became less frequent. Phone calls became shorter. Birthdays turned into mailed gift cards instead of hugs. Eventually, every invitation came with an excuse. I'm working. Maybe next week. Hospitals make me uncomfortable. I don't want Emma remembering me there. The excuses changed. The result never did. They stopped showing up. Emma never noticed the pattern. Children always believe the people they love have good reasons. Adults know better. The surgery had been scheduled nearly 4 months earlier. The specialists explained every risk carefully. They also explained that delaying it any longer wasn't an option. The night before surgery, Emma reached for my hand inside her hospital room. Dad. Yes, sweetheart. If Grandma comes tomorrow, can she bring my pink blanket? I smiled, even though my throat tightened. I'm sure she'd love to. Emma nodded happily before drifting to sleep. She believed Grandma would come. I wished I believed it too. The operation lasted nearly 7 hours. Those 7 hours felt longer than the rest of my life combined. Every time the operating room doors opened, my heart nearly stopped. Finally, the surgeon walked toward me. His surgical cap was still on. His mask hung loosely around his neck. He smiled. The procedure went exactly as we hoped. I don't remember standing. I don't remember thanking him. I only remember crying. Not quietly. Not politely. The kind of crying that comes after carrying fear for years. Later that evening, Emma opened her eyes. Dad. I'm here. Did they fix my heart? They did. She smiled weakly. Can Grandma come tomorrow? I kissed her forehead. I'll ask. I truly believe seeing that photograph would remind my family what mattered. I was wrong. 5 minutes after sending it, Ryan replied. Busy. Handle it. I stared at the screen. Then another notification appeared. Mom. I expected concern. Maybe an apology. Maybe even, I'll leave right now. Instead, 6 words appeared beneath my daughter's photograph. She lived. Stop making her a problem. I read it once, then twice. then 10 more times, each time hoping the words would somehow change. They never did. The room suddenly felt silent except for the steady rhythm of Emma's heart monitor beside me. Beep, beep, beep. A machine was celebrating the heartbeat my own family couldn't seem to care about. Emma looked up from her bed. Did Grandma answer? I forced the biggest smile I could manage. Not yet, sweetheart. She nodded. Maybe she's driving. Maybe. She closed her eyes again. I looked back at my phone. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I could have argued. I could have reminded my mother of every birthday she'd missed, every promise she'd broken, every excuse she'd repeated. Instead, I typed only 2 words. It's okay. Then I quietly stood, stepped into the hallway outside Emma's room, and made one phone call. The woman answered before the second ring. I introduced myself. She listened without interrupting. When I finally finished, she paused for a moment before saying calmly, "We'll take care of everything tomorrow." As I slipped my phone back into my pocket, I looked through the hospital room window at my sleeping daughter. For the first time since receiving that text, I wasn't thinking about what my family had done. I was thinking about what was about to happen next. And I realized they had just made the biggest mistake of their lives. The next morning, Emma woke up asking the same question. Did Grandma text back? I tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear and smiled. Not yet. She nodded like that answer made perfect sense. Children have an incredible ability to believe tomorrow will always be kinder than today. I wished adults possessed the same gift. By noon, Emma was sitting up in bed, coloring with a set of markers one of the nurses had brought her. Her chest still hurt. Every movement was slow, but she kept smiling. One of the pediatric nurses, Melissa, stopped by to check her incision. Emma held up her drawing. It's me and my dad. Melissa smiled. What about everyone else? Emma looked down for a second. They're probably busy. The words hit me harder than anything my mother had written. Even my 8-year-old daughter had started making excuses for people who never showed up. After Melissa left, my phone rang. The caller ID displayed a name I hadn't spoken to in months. Karen Whitmore, Executive Director, the Hearts Forward Foundation. I stepped quietly into the hallway. Karen. I heard Emma's surgery went well. It did. Oh, thank goodness. There was genuine relief in her voice, the kind my own mother hadn't bothered to show. Karen continued. I know this probably isn't the best time, but the board met this morning. I leaned against the wall. About the gala? Yes. Nearly 4 years earlier, after Emma's first major hospitalization, I had started volunteering for Hearts Forward. At first, I simply organized local fundraisers, then community walks, then donor events. Eventually, I accepted a position on the foundation's volunteer advisory board. Not because I wanted recognition, because I never wanted another parent to feel as alone as I had. Over those 4 years, our foundation had funded hundreds of surgeries, temporary housing for families traveling long distances, and emergency assistance for parents forced to miss work while caring for sick children. Karen had become more than a colleague. She had become family. We voted unanimously, she said. You and Emma are this year's keynote speakers. I closed my eyes. I don't know if she's strong enough. Karen laughed softly. You haven't met your daughter recently. I smiled. No. I guess I haven't. The entire event is about courage. Nobody represents that better than Emma. After hanging up, I stood silently for a moment. I hadn't told my family about the gala. In fact, I hadn't told them much about Hearts Forward at all. Whenever I mentioned volunteering, Mom would shrug. You're spreading yourself too thin. Ryan once called charity work a waste of weekends. Eventually, I stopped talking about it. Some people only notice kindness when they're the ones receiving it. 3 weeks later, Emma was home. Recovery wasn't easy. Walking from the couch to the kitchen left her exhausted. But every day she became a little stronger. Exactly 1 month after surgery, we attended the Hearts Forward annual Hope Gala. The ballroom was beautiful. White tablecloths, blue ribbons, hundreds of families, doctors, nurses, researchers, volunteers, people whose lives had all crossed because someone chose compassion. Emma wore a light blue dress that carefully covered the scar on her chest. She looked nervous. "You ready?" I asked. She squeezed my hand. "What if I cry?" I smiled. "Then everyone else probably will too." She giggled. That laugh alone made the evening worthwhile. When our names were announced, the audience stood. Not because we were famous, because every person in that room understood exactly what Emma had survived. She slowly walked to the podium. The microphone looked enormous beside her. She unfolded a small piece of paper. Her hands shook. "So," she paused. Everyone waited patiently. "My name is Emma." A few people smiled. "I used to think hospitals were scary." Soft laughter spread through the room. "But then I met people who made them feel like home." She looked toward the nurses seated near the front. "Thank you for holding my hand when my dad couldn't come into surgery." Several nurses wiped away tears. She turned toward the surgeons. "Thank you for fixing my heart." The audience applauded. Then she looked at me. "And thank you, Dad, because every time I woke up, you were always there." I couldn't stop my own tears. Then she said something no one expected. "My dad told me families help each other." She looked around the ballroom. I learned something different. The room became completely silent. "Some families are born with you." She smiled gently. "And some families choose you." Not a single voice could be heard. Only applause. Long, loud, unending. As the audience stood once again, television cameras captured every moment. I had no idea that before the night was over, one simple interview outside that ballroom would send shockwaves straight into my family's living room. And this time, they wouldn't be able to ignore us. The interview lasted less than 4 minutes. It changed everything. A reporter caught me just outside the ballroom while Emma was taking pictures with her surgeons and nurses. She smiled politely before asking, "Your daughter's speech touched everyone tonight. Is the rest of your family here celebrating with you?" For a brief second, I thought about lying. It would have been easier. Instead, I answered honestly, "No." She looked surprised. "They couldn't make it?" I smiled. Not bitterly, just peacefully. Sometimes the people who share your last name aren't the ones who stand beside you. The reporter lowered her microphone slightly. "So, who is your family?" I looked back through the ballroom doors. Doctors. Volunteers. Parents hugging children who had survived impossible odds. Nurses laughing with former patients. Then I answered. The people who kept showing up. Nothing more. Nothing less. The interview aired that evening during the local news. By the following morning, clips from the gala were everywhere. Hospitals shared Emma's speech. Children's charities reposted the interview. Thousands of people commented on the little girl with the bright smile and the healing scar who thanked strangers for becoming family. Then something unexpected happened. Someone recognized my mother's name. Years earlier, she'd proudly posted dozens of family photos online. Birthdays, Christmas dinners, vacation pictures. Our last family reunion. People connected the names, connected the faces. Then they connected the interview. I never encouraged anyone to contact my family. I never mentioned my mother's text. I never even said her name. The truth was enough. By lunchtime, my phone buzzed. "Ryan." I ignored it. A minute later, he called again. Then again. Finally, a text appeared. "Can we talk?" An hour later, another message. "Mom, please call me." I didn't. That afternoon, flowers arrived at Emma's hospital room. A giant bouquet. No card. Only the florist's receipt. An hour later, another delivery arrived. A pink teddy bear. Then balloons. Then expensive toys. Emma smiled politely. "Who sent these?" I checked the attached cards. "Grandma." Emma looked at them for a long moment, then quietly asked, "Why didn't she come herself?" I had no answer that could protect her heart. So I simply said, "I don't know." She nodded. "I think Melissa would have picked better flowers." I laughed before I realized tears were running down my face. Even now, she wasn't angry. She was simply beginning to understand. Over the next several weeks, the messages kept coming. Mom apologized. Ryan apologized. An aunt I hadn't spoken to in years apologized. Everyone suddenly wanted hospital visits, dinner invitations, family photos, second chances. The timing wasn't difficult to understand. People hadn't changed because they suddenly discovered compassion. They changed because they finally realized everyone else had seen what they hadn't done. But Emma deserved something better than guilt disguised as love. Recovery became our entire focus. Every Tuesday, she attended cardiac rehabilitation. Every Friday, Melissa stopped by after work with coloring books. Dr. Patel, the surgeon who repaired Emma's heart, always made time to check on her progress. Volunteers from Hearts Forward visited regularly. Some brought puzzles. Some brought books. Some simply sat beside her and listened. Little by little, Emma stopped asking when Grandma was coming. Instead, she asked, "Is Melissa working today? Will Dr. Patel visit? Is Miss Karen coming to the fundraiser?" Without realizing it, she had found her family. Months later, just before Christmas, another message appeared from Mom. This one was longer. "I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I can't stop thinking about what I wrote. I would do anything to take those words back. Please, can we start over?" I read it twice, then set my phone down. Emma walked into the kitchen carrying a school project.
Dad.
"Yeah. My teacher said we're having Family Appreciation Day next week." "That's nice. I can invite 3 people." I smiled. "Who are you thinking?" She answered without hesitation. "Dr. Patel." She held up one finger. "Melissa." A second finger. "And Miss Karen." A third. I nodded. "I think they'd be honored." She smiled. "What about Grandma?" There it was. The question I'd been expecting for months. I knelt beside her. "Sweetheart, family isn't just the people we're born into." She smiled. "I know." Then she hugged me. I already picked mine. The following Friday, I finally replied to my mother's message. "You weren't rejected because you missed one hospital visit. You walked away long before the surgery." Emma deserves people who choose her every single time, not only after everyone else is watching. I truly hope you find peace, but my first responsibility will always be protecting her heart. I press send. That was the last message I ever sent her. A year later, Emma ran across her school's playground faster than any doctor had predicted. Her scar was still there. So was mine. Neither of us tried to hide them anymore. Because scars don't always remind us of pain. Sometimes they remind us that we survived. Looking back, I don't remember my mother's cruel text as the moment our family fell apart. I remember it as the moment Emma discovered who truly loved her. The people connected by blood walked away when life became difficult. The people connected by compassion never left. And in the end, that little girl didn't lose a family. She found a better one.